And I would like also to invite then Adi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Anna. How are you?
Fine. Happy. I feel really happy.
Yes. This is so exciting. And thank you, Armin. It was such an interesting and inspiring presentation. And I'm sure everybody else here would love to hear more and more and more and learn more and more from what you do. So thank you for that. So I'm actually very excited to have the opportunity to speak in front of you. I would say it's the first time I'm speaking in English about what we do in Israel. So I hope I won't lose a lot of my self-expression when I need to do this in English. But I think that's kind of the essence of inclusion, what is happening now at this very moment, where different people all around the globe, different individuals who are passionate about education, understanding that this diversity is an asset, it's not a burden, and doing whatever they can do to kind of bridge those gaps in order so that every person here on this Zoom will get what he or she needs to the day-to-day life. So my name is Adi, and as Irana mentioned, I'm the CEO and founder of the Inclusive Schools in Israel. Before that, I was the head of Google for Education, and for 5 years. So I was working a lot about the digital gap, and actually I had the privilege to travel around the world and see a lot of different models, pedagogical, organizational, physical, emotional, everything. And I came to a few countries to see different models of inclusion. And then for me, the first time I've seen something like that, I said to myself, wow, we need to bring this in Israel. You know, Israel is a very diverse population. We have ultra-Orthodox, Orthodox, Arabs, we have Jewish, we have Ethiopians, we have people who are coming from Europe and from the Arab countries, and the population is quite small, and the geographic land is quite small. And in Israel, especially with our politicians, those differences are in our face every day. So for me, the inclusive schools is not about with and without disabilities and understanding that everyone is unique. It's about creating schools that will be the model of how the Israeli society should look like. I will share now with you a small presentation for today. It's in English and also the video, but you'll have, it's in Hebrew, but you will have subtitles in English in the video. So I want to start with that. And this is like a short video about the first inclusive schools in the country. Today we have 5 inclusive schools, and in September we're opening 8 more schools, and I will share more about it. So please join me.
להכיל זה לקבל כל אחד איכשהו ומישהו.
להכיל זאת שגרה.
להכיל זה לתת הזדמנות. זה לאהוב.
לדעת מה החוזקות שלי ולהתמודד עם החולשות שלי.
בתי הספר המכילים אלה בתי ספר שלומדים בהם תלמידים עם מגוון יכולות, צרכים, רצונות.
מה שאומר שלומדים אצלנו ילדים מהחינוך הרגיל, ויחד עם זה לומדים אצלנו ילדים שמוגדרים כילדים דיפרנציאליים. בית ספר מיוחד מבחינת מה שעומד מאחוריו.
אין כיתות מיוחדות, אין את הנושא של שילוב. יש להכיל ממש.
בית ספר שאתה יכול לבוא, מי שאתה ואיך שאתה, יראו את הטוב שבך.
לכל ילד בעולם הזה יש מקום.
התפקיד שלנו כמערכת זה לראות כל אחד ולראות את הצרכים שלו, כי כולנו עם צרכים מיוחדים וכולנו רגילים.
מה זה?
תעשי לה במקומי.
הבית ספר המכיל מאפשר ללמד במתודות שונות ולהתקדם באופן עצמאי.
למידה בקבוצות, הרבה למידה דרך משחק. יש פה איזה מרחב שמאפשר חקר, מאפשר התבוננות.
אם אני מעביר לתלמיד רק ידע, אז במקסימום הוא ידע לענות על מה שאני כבר עניתי. אם אני אלמד אותו איך ללמוד, אני אגרום לו לאהוב ללמוד, הוא ישאל את השאלות שעוד לא שאלו ואנחנו אפילו עוד לא חולמים עליהם.
בית ספר כזה הוא לא נישה, הוא לא בית ספר פרטי, הוא לא בית ספר צדדי, אלא הוא בית ספר ציבורי שמוכר על ידי משרד החינוך.
כשאני בתור מחנכת ניגשת בעצם לבנות איזשהו שיעור, אני חושבת האם השיעור יתאים למגוון התלמידים שיש לי בכיתה, האם כולם ירגישו שייכים, האם הם באמת יכולים להיות עצמאיים בתוך השיעור, והאם המצוינות של כל אחד באה לידי ביטוי.
ואנחנו עם הזמן ננסה להבין מה עובד יותר טוב, מה עובד פחות טוב, איך אפשר לשפר, מה ההשפעות של המודל, מה ההשפעות של המודל על הילדים, מה ההשפעות של המודל על המשפחה שלהם, על החברה.
ילד שבעצם נולד עם שיתוק מוחין, סד על הרגליים, כשהוא הגיע לכאן ממש אחרי משהו כמו שבוע, הוא לא הגיע עם ההליכון, משהו שממש הפתיע אותנו, וכששאלנו את הילד הוא אמר לנו שהוא לא רוצה יותר ללכת עם הליכון, הוא אמר שהוא יבקש מחברים שיעזרו לו, כי בכיתה שלו עוזרים אחד לשני. וזה משהו שהיה מדהים ומאוד מאוד מרגש. אותו ילד יורד במדרגות לבד, עולה על מתקנים, מטפס. בעצם מבחינתנו, וככה אנחנו מסתכלים על כל ילד, הוא מגוון שלם של כל כולו.
הוא אוטיסט, הוא תסמונת דאון, זה לא מה שמייצג את הבן אדם. קוראים לו יצחק, הוא אוהב מוזיקה, הוא איש משפחה, הוא אלוף בחשבון, יש לו גם תסמונת דאון, אבל זה לא האדם.
זה חלק ממנו, אבל זה לא החלק, זה לא הדבר הדומיננטי שלו.
אם אנחנו לא נלמד אנשים מההתחלה לחיות יחד, אנחנו לא יכולים לצפות מהם להכיל בשלב מאוחר יותר.
זה חייב לקרות דרך חינוך אחר, שרואה כל אדם ומאפשר לכל אדם באמת להיות מישהו ומשהו בעולם הזה.
אנחנו צריכים להבין שאנחנו משנים את פני החברה, אנחנו הופכים את החברה להיות חברה שמבינה שהמגוון בינינו הוא נכס והוא לא נטל.
אם נעשה את זה ככה ונסתכל באמת על ההשפעות המעגליות של הבתי ספר המכילים, אנחנו נוכל להגיע להשפעה מאוד כללית.
פתחנו 5 בתי ספר מכילים. כיום יש לנו למעלה מ-1,400 תלמידים, 300 אנשי צוות, מורים, תומכי הוראה וקהילות הורים מאוד מאוד גדולות.
קהילה שרוצה לתרום, שרוצה לעשות עולם טוב יותר.
קהילה שתתמוך, שתלווה, שתדחוף את בית הספר להצלחה. יש פה באמת הזדמנות לייצר שינוי שהוא מעבר.
בעצם חזון שמדבר על כל מערכת החינוך בישראל, וכדי לעשות משהו כזה בסדר גודל כזה, צריך מלא 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 שותפים, אנשים שפשוט מאמינים, שיתנו לנו את התשתית הכלכלית שתאפשר לנו לעוף ולבנות את מהפכת החינוך הכי גדולה שנראתה כאן.
איזה שינוי ואיזו עוצמה קורית פה תוך פחות מ-12 חודשים.
בכל מקום, בכל הארץ, זה החינוך שצריך להיות.
יש פה קסם שלא קיים בשום מקום אחר. יש פה תחושה של בית.
ילדים באים לפה בדילוגים, הם באים לפה בשמחה, באהבה, כי רואים אותם.
היה משתלם לבוא לפה. לא הייתי צריכה יותר כלום.
וכמה זה היה חשוב להאמין בעצמי ולהאמין בסתיו, ולדעת שסוף סוף יש כאן בית. יש כאן בית מהלב.
So again, I apologize, it was in Hebrew, but I hope you were able to follow the subtitles. Sorry. Right. So today we're operating 5 inclusive schools in Israel, from the Golan Heights, from the northern part of the country, to the middle. And actually in September, we will open 8 more inclusive schools, including kindergartens and high school, including ultra-Orthodox inclusive school. It's only for boys. And in 2022, we'll open 8 more inclusive schools, including in the West Bank and in other ultra-Orthodox populations. So actually, I would say that by 2022, we will have 20 inclusive schools from preschool to high school, in every district and in every sector in the country. I would say that for us in Israel, the change in the paradigm from exclusion to segregation to integration to inclusion is something that is very challenging. I want to say that I know also in your country, but for us, the education system is actually divided not only into ages and geographical areas, but also the different identities. So you have a school for Arab kids, and you have school for seculars, and you have school for Orthodox and for ultra Orthodox, and etc. And for poor and for rich. So it's all divided. And of course, for special education, and within the special education, it's divided through the definition of the function, the disability, and we have integration in Israel, which has failed. Not only didn't basically I would say that for me integration is the biggest lie and the biggest enemy of inclusion, because integration, the way we perceive it in the country, is what you have when you have the mainstream, when you have the population, and a small group or a person need to overcome their differences in order to be part of the mainstream. And the way also you will measure it and you will see it is when students or people will need to work very hard in order to be part of what's happening. And in Hebrew, we say every time you hear the word despite, you know that in the field of integration. So in spite the fact that I'm a woman, I'm a CEO. In spite the fact that he's Ethiopian, he's a pilot. In spite the fact that he's on the spectrum of autism, he's now part of the army. So in spite that, he defeated that definition, and now he's part of the group. Rather than inclusion for us is two things. One, understand, as I said, that diversity is an asset and not a burden. You want differences. That's the way we developed in life. We're here to grow, and that's the best way to grow when you meet people who are different than you. Understanding that everyone is special, everyone is different, but also wearing the glass that see every kid as a whole, every individual as exceptional, not because the way that he can't walk or can't see, but the girl who is shy, the boy whose parents is now getting divorced, or the student who is brilliant in mathematics. So that's kind of the way we see inclusion. And those are some of the pictures from our school. We're looking about 4 core values that kind of push us forward. Diversity, I spoke about it. Second is belonging. We all share the fundamental right, to be part, to belong. And independency is a big value to what we do. Understanding that we all deserve the freedom to express and fulfill our needs, wishes, and dreams. A flexible system fosters agency, responsibility, and engagement, and excellency. In integration, many times we see a kid that is holding back the class or interrupting the class, or a genius or a brilliant kid who is putting high standards to the class. That people, it's like me or you. It's me, either somebody else. In excellency, we believe that we each have the right to maximize our capabilities and achieve excellency, personalized education, and high expectations from everyone. And we do it in actually before that, maybe I will just share something about this picture that you see right here. This is there are second graders in our school in the north, and you see here the girl with the glasses, the red glasses. So she has disability, she can't see well. And also in this group, you see a kid who is on the spectrum of autism, and another kid who has Down syndrome, but he's not in the picture. 50% of the school is Orthodox and 50% are secular. They're all together. We also have Arab kids in the school. So this is a lesson where they study Hebrew, they study language, but because the girl with the glasses, she can't see or read, they are bringing Play-Doh and they learn letters through creating them. And because of her, the whole class is experiencing a different class and another way to learn language. I will say that we're working on those values in four elements: the social emotional inclusion, the inclusive pedagogy, the organizational inclusion, and also the inclusive design or the physical inclusion. So in terms of inclusive, the social inclusion, I would say that there are some questions that we ask ourselves on a daily basis. So how do we create a multi-community society? How do we expand the concept of friendship? Because my friendship with somebody maybe who will have some kind of disability, maybe will be a different friendship, but we don't want it to be cosmetic. We don't want it to patronize. We want to create authentic friendship. So how do we expand the concept of friendship? How do we develop respect and value for diverse abilities and strength? How do we nurture confidence and positive self-concept among everyone? I think for us, the word everyone really does mean everyone. So inclusive design for us is how do we use diversity as a resource for learning? How can we ensure optimal progress for all learners? How do we promote ownership and independent learning among all students? And how do we design lessons which provide equal opportunity for different learners? Those are, there's many practices, pedagogical practices. I'm sure you're familiar with some of them, but those are some of the main questions. In terms of organizational design, which is very important for us, is how do we form winning school teams? How do we collect data to improve the practices? How do we contract a flexible and enabling schedule to support different paths? And how do we establish how do we establish that enables statewide my presentation is stuck. Okay, never mind. So inclusive design, how can we use space as a third teacher? How do we address conflict design needs? So maybe a kid that needs more, quiet environment versus a kid that needs more triggers. How do we enable personal choice for space for learning and playing? And how do we create welcoming and accessible environment for everyone? Again, those are some pictures. So this is kind of very briefly about the inclusive schools in the country. I would say that, for us is, I think, the main challenge is not the school themselves, but actually working with the government and working with municipalities. The Ministry of Education is a very big, heavy, bureaucratical, political body, and and I'm sure you know it, that you only need one parent or one teacher or one principal or one supervisor or one municipality or somebody who won't be with you in order for this to collapse. So it's a change of perspective of the way we look at life, its practices. And we do work on every level. So from the level of the school itself and the budgets and the HR of the school, to the level of professional development, to the afternoon programs, to working with parents. So it's a holistic work that we do. And we always say that if we did a great job, we believe that in a few years, they will invite us to the end of year celebration, and they won't need us anymore because it will be part of the culture and the DNA and an algorithm of inclusion. So that's kind of where we aim and what we're trying to do. I would say about myself personally that when I was 11 and a half, I started to volunteer in a nonprofit, an NGO here in Israel as a kid. And I was a personal tutor of a 3-year-old kid that had CP, cerebral palsy, and he couldn't walk and he couldn't talk, and physically he couldn't do anything on his own. But for me, he was 3 back then, and I felt that he knows me and understands me more than anyone else. So whenever I was sad, he was sad with me, and whenever I was happy, he used to laugh with me, and I used to tell him all my secrets, and he couldn't tell it to anybody. So for me, he was like a brother to me, and his family was very proud of him, and they find a creative way to make sure that he'll be part of everything that happens around him. But during the years growing up next to him, I saw that the biggest difference between Fear and myself is not the fact that he can walk or talk, is the natural opportunities for social life after school. So often he felt very lonely, and through him, I met a lot of kids with disabilities, and I saw that the social gap is the biggest gap because they don't have the natural opportunities that I had. So, and also I would say that when I was with Kfir, it was us, but we went out to the street, people always looked at me as if I was a teenage saint helping the poor disabled kid. They used to congratulate me and always looked at him as the kid on the wheelchair. So no one looked at him and saw how funny, smart, stubborn kid he was, and looked at us as friends. So that was, for me, was another thing. So when I was 16, I kind of joined the leadership development program, and I thought about a project in my community that I can start. And in Israel, being part of a youth movement is something that is really big, like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. So in Israel, we have a lot of youth movements, but I went to them, but they didn't. They didn't want to accept him or other kids with disabilities. So I decided I want to create a new youth movement that will accept everybody. And I called this youth movement Krembo Wings. In Hebrew, we say Krembo. And it was a youth movement of kids with and without special needs. I don't like this definition, with and without special needs, because we all have special needs. By the way, I can't cook anything. I have the worst sense of direction in the world. I didn't know how to read and to write until and I haven't read one book in my life because of my learning disability. So we all have disabilities, but you can't see my wheelchair, so I need to share about it. So when we started Krembo Wings, it was about, just creating this opportunity for everybody to have friends. And actually, I duplicated the model of Kfir and Adi into a group. So, and we didn't know the rules, we didn't know the definitions, and we met once a week for 3 hours just to play. And it grew, and actually today, Krembo Wings operate 80 branches with more than 7,000 children with and without special needs all around the country, with summer camps and others. So I left the organization a few years ago. For me, for many years, I've been asking myself, how would Krembo Wings look in a school? So how you do this? And that's where the inclusive schools came to me. I will share that Kfir, the kid I started everything for, he passed away 13 years ago when he was 11 and a half. So I always think that I had the biggest honor to know somebody like him that actually changed my life and changed the life of so many people. And even now with the inclusive school, I feel his energy kind of guide me to make sure that no one will be left behind, no one will feel that, you know, he doesn't have friends or he doesn't belong, and everybody will understand that there is a place here for everybody, and we need to work to do that. And it's hard work, but that's what we came to do here. So, and you're welcome after COVID to visit Israel, to visit our schools. I'd be very, very happy to host you and to share some of the knowledge that you have with what we do to create this global movement. I feel that, you know, we need this change. We need it. Parents need it. Kids need it. The teachers need it. Everybody. We need it to ourselves. And thank you so much for having me here in this such an important conference.
If I wouldn't be in front of the people, I would cry many times, I think, together with you. And you leave speechless. And I have so many hundreds of questions to you. I'm ready to fly to Israel to meet you because there are so many questions.
By the way, it starts snowing here yesterday. It's been years since the last snow in Israel, and now it's snowing here, and for us it's like miracle to see snow. We don't know what it is. It's just, you know, very hot here. So yeah, so you're welcome.
We are all covered by snow now. And can I ask you a few questions?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. One question is, if you would go to the school that has big heart, let's say in small village that does not have a lot of possibilities to attract competences or experts, just ordinary school with big heart, willingness to change, and knowing nothing about inclusive education, but understanding that they have to move this direction because children are coming with or without special needs, but the school feels that they need to change. And my question, what is your first step? What do you do at the beginning, at the very beginning?
On the community level or on the organizational level?
I don't know. What you come to small town or village,
okay?
Because the principal of a school, let's imagine, said that I've heard your presentation and we really want to become an inclusive school.
Okay.
Tell us the first steps.
So I think the first step will be to get to know the students and the people. Really getting to know the people. Walking from house to house, meeting in their house with the kids, with the parents. You know, I think that everything we don't know, we're afraid of. Like everything that is far away, or if you get the information about somebody and it goes to other people. So I think being, in spite of the fact that it's a formal education system, being informal and trying to forget the rules and just going and meeting and going to know a person without asking for permission, and just doing it. And worst scenario, you know, in general, I always say in social entrepreneurship, it's not about asking for permission from anybody and not going, you know, by the rules. That's the most important thing. But I think just getting to know the people in their house, the way, you know, their natural environment, the way, you know, their relationship with their families, you know, starting to explore what they care for, what they love for, what are their needs, what are their passions, what are their wishes, and just getting to know. I think being very tactical is just, I think that's the first stage. But also, I think that the thing that will open the hearts for everybody. You know, one time I told our teacher to go to visit the kids in their homes. And at the beginning, they were kind of against the idea. And then after I kind of persuade them very, very hard and kind of convinced them, so they did this and they went physically to visit, and one of the teachers, she came back to me and she said, listen, Adi, I saw that they don't have anything in their fridge. And the kid is going to sleep with 7 other kids in a room on a mattress without having a blanket. I would never, well, maybe I would know that socioeconomical there, but now that I saw it, I cannot leave it this way. And from that point, she kind of created an amazing project without this kid knowing about it, but actually, so the whole community made sure that no one will be hungry in the school. And so I think once you get to know really a person and their environment, you can learn so much. And that's the base. That's the base of creating trust. That's the base of opening your heart and loving. Everything is that base of getting to know. So that would be the first stage for me. I think also in terms of designing the classes and designing the timetable of the school and design, I think it's really important to do it with the staff and together and putting the puzzle to make sure that everyone will get what they need, but also, like the concept of UDL, Universal Design Learning. So after you're getting to know what's happening with everybody, you can design something that will fit to all. And then at the end, you could do some personalized matching to address, specific needs. But then also once you give the personalized learning plans or whatever, then you can use it back to the whole school to make sure that everyone will enjoy different ways of learning, So I think after you get to know is really creating together the system. And I think it's really, really important to make sure that the time is organized in a way that it can allow you to do some special things. I mean, for us, we have personalized learning plans for all the students. Every student in our school have a personalized learning plan. In order to do a class where you can address and do personalized learning plans, you need to design the class and the system and the organization as a whole to fit this kind of pedagogy. And I think for us, the personalized learning plan is a shared ownership of the parents, of the kid himself, of the teachers, and everyone. So you have also, everyone is responsible of the education of the kid. And that's also another element. But I think the first step for me will be to actually getting to know the people.
What I hear, what you say, that it's really like about opening community from the first step and then going deeper and deeper on all the levels. When you talk about the school, I hear about this collaboration and community inside the school and outside the school and with everyone involved. So I hear that it really shifts the table or the pyramid, that the school is not only the kind of a sector or service provider, that the school is the responsibility of everyone in the community.
We do the trainings for the parents as well. I mean, I would say that the programs for the parents and professional development for parents and families is equal to the energy we invest in the teachers and in the staff members. And yes, we look on all levels. Yes, of course, on the whole ecosystem, and of course, at the end of the day, we try to measure ourselves, in every aspect, but also in the matter of the kids.
And if I hear you right, that it may take up to 2 years. the shift or not, or longer, or how?
I think that it's not like you have the dot of the end of the sentence. It's not like you're inclusive or you're not inclusive. I think it's not like a binary equation. I think it's a long life journey, and it will never stop. In terms of transforming schools, I would say that it's about 5 to 8 years.
Okay, thank you.
Only the first 2 years, they only start to understand what you want from them, and then you need them to believe in it and to create that. So it's a long journey.
Thank you, Adi, very much for your time, for your energy.
Thank you.
And I'm sure it's not it's the first, but not the last time. I hope.
I
Yes,
hope,
I'm sure.
yes, I hope so too. And thank you also to Ira for introducing, and good luck. And it's this conference, I can't stop thinking about it. I think it's such an amazing event. It's such an important event. And I want to do it also in Israel. You will teach me, and we can do it also here, inspired by what you did. And good luck for everything you do. And it's not obvious to see hundreds of people going up for this conference, paying for it, try to learn to be part of a social change. Because I think it's a social change. It's not about the schools. It's about changing society through education.
Yes.
Thank you so much.